All right, so I haven't been on any of the social media in like a week. I once again got banned off of TikTok. I find that, well, their entire moderating system is pretty fucking incongruous anyway, right? So what had happened is Snort Cough got banned. I tried to make another account called Geronimo Funk. Oh, nice. Somebody is going to watch. That's cool. Nobody found Geronimo Funk, and I was using this styrofoam head just because it was fun. I'm banned from TikTok. So Snort Cough, 2 months later, my appeal went through. Snort Cough got restored, but was not allowed to post. I was not allowed to post. I was allowed to go live, but not allowed to post until May 3rd. May 3rd came, and I got banned again. I hadn't actually posted yet, so it was like, okay, why did I get banned? So they said, oh, we're sorry, you're reinstated, but you still can't post now until the 10th. The 10th came, and I got banned again, and so I appealed again. I said, guys, this doesn't make sense. I haven't actually posted. You're telling me I'm banned for community guidelines violation, but I haven't posted to violate guidelines again. And then they said, your appeal's been denied. You can never come back. So I'm pretty much fucking done with TikTok because it's ridiculous. However, a lot of people, but I don't like have the catalog. I didn't save the videos anywhere because I was just shooting them on my phone. And honestly, I didn't expect it to blow up like it did. Told me that while people liked what I was saying in a passive sense, nobody was actively looking for it. Because I would go back, because you can look up Snort Cough, and I would go back to the Snort Cough videos that I had made that other people had, stitched with, and said, hey, I'm back, the one with the dark hair girl that said, if you don't want to know the truth, keep scrolling. That got reposted literally tens of thousands of times. And I carefully went back to all of those stitch and duets and said, I got banned, but I'm back now. This is Snort Cough. I'm now Geronimo Funk. And almost none of those people then came to add it. So this told me that people liked what I had to say, but were not enough to really do anything with it. Right. So that's what I was thinking. Originally, I was thinking what I would do was use TikTok to bring traffic here. Basically what I would like to do, but I have not been very diligent in learning how to do because, frankly, social media is a small part of my life, is learn how to take a full TikTok, record it, bring it to YouTube, post it, and then continue that video essentially as a longer stitch. The only way I can figure out to do that now is basically make another TikTok account and then hold it up and then stitch with it here. And that seems like a really chintzy way to do it. So I have to discover the technological way to do that, which I will eventually do. But I thought, well, YouTube is here. There are people listening. I think I'll go and talk about the reason why I was banned in a larger kind of social sense. And the reason is very straightforward, but I think a lot of people don't really get it. And that is that people like women. Women especially and the left like to hear about. I know there's software, but I don't know what it is yet or how to use it. I talked a lot about women's responsibilities, their abdication of those responsibilities, and the larger effect that had both on men and the larger social structure of our culture. And yeah, please, if you find it, that's great. You can send it to me and I'll start using it. Here's the reality. Women and leftists love to hear about their rights. They very, very much want to hear about all the things they should be allowed to do. And when you monitor what they say, they are increasingly talking about anything they want is a human right. Right? We started with human rights were life, liberty, and property. In the Constitution, that became life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And now it's healthcare is a human right, college is a human right, everything is a human right, because the leftist and feminist thinking to me is interchangeable. At this point, it has become intermeshed so much, there's no way out of it. The woke group, they want to hear all about their rights and what they have a right to. But the moment you start talking about responsibilities, they basically have a meltdown. Now, why is that? And what is the larger ramification of that? If you have a right that you exercise, but no responsibilities, what you have is things that you are doing without consequences, which is what the left and the liberal want, the feminists want, the women want. What they want to be able to do is anything they want to be able to do in this moment without consequence. And I want to give an example of that, which I just found, and of course now I forgot her name, Billie Eilish. Instagram photos, okay? And she made a big kerfluffle about that. And to be clear, I don't care. Magazine cover is actually when I saw magazine cover, because I want to. There we go. Okay. I have no problem. The magazine cover here, this line right here, Billie Eilish, and it says, and you can feel free to, of course, to look this up. It's all about what makes you feel good. It's a magazine cover. The women want to do whatever they, Kamua has a feature called AutoCut that does this. Okay, I will look into that. Women want to do whatever they want to do, whatever makes them feel good in this moment without strategic consequences. Right? I want to go to a bar and have sex with the biggest shitbag I can find. And I had a TikTok cut that was literally two women sitting around talking about, it's about going to the bar and finding the fuckboy, and that's what the fun is. And so what they literally want, and you can find all kinds of women's magazine talking about this, do what makes you feel good right now. You can feel whatever you want to feel, and it is legitimate. You have to, and they will dissolve marriages based on this philosophy. They will have multiple children based on having the desire to have sex right now. And when you look at the feminist perspective on things like the consequences of abortion, and you talk about sex and not having sex. Well, people aren't going to just not have sex. Like, wait a minute. You're just basically saying that women lack the intellectual capacity and the self-discipline to keep their fucking legs shut. That's your entire model of talking about abortion and sexual education and so forth is essentially saying that women are too stupid and lack the self-discipline to keep their fucking legs shut. They just can't do it. So we have to base legislation around that reality. And it reinforced that reality. When you look at magazine covers, just do whatever your career has been, just doing whatever you want, whatever felt good the moment. You'd be like, well, no, it didn't take hard work and delayed gratification and discipline and coming to photo shoots at 2:00 in the morning and exhausting. It should be like, well, of course it did. Yeah, I have. Like, wait a minute. So you're required to have self-discipline and work hard and do things you didn't want to do in that moment in order to be successful. That's what success requires. And of course she would say yes. It's like, then why are you on a magazine cover? Billie Eilish's whole thing was she wore shit clothing so that you wouldn't see what she looked like. You wouldn't know what her body looked like. So you would have to pay attention to the music that she made and the lyrics that she made, because otherwise she would become a sex object. She's 19. She is now dressing sexy. She is a sex object. The moment she could, she became so in order to sell more. And your life could have been easier if you just went the Britney Spears route and, hit me again. Britney Spears also burned the fuck out and went nuts, right? Because she was basically a sex plaything at 16 and 17. Nobody gave a shit about her. You talk to Billie Eilish. Yes, it took a lot of hard work to get where I am now to be successful. And now that I'm successful, I'm also going to add on top of that selling sex because that's what I have to sell. It's like, then why are you on a magazine cover selling the idea of do whatever you want to do, whatever feels good right now, just do that? And she would start to do mental gymnastics because that's what they do, right? She would say, well, what I mean is, you do whatever you want to do right now that furthers you towards your goal. Okay, but what if what I want to do right now sucks and I don't want to do it right now? Well, you have to if you want to get your goal. Okay, so now you're doing mental gymnastics. You're jumping back and forth. The feminists, the left, they only want to hear about what they can do and what they have a right to. The moment you start saying things like, there are consequences to your actions, there are larger social consequences. You go to a woman, you say, you're 23, you're an attractive woman, you go to a bar, you pick the biggest shit bag you can find to sleep with him. Well, I can do what I want. It's my life. Okay. Does it occur to you that you are telling every man that witnesses that all he has to do is be a player at a bar, not financially, morally, spiritually, intellectually successful. He just has to make you laugh for 5 minutes to open your fucking legs. And thereby you are lowering the bar. And, well, but they don't want to hear about the consequences of those actions. They don't want to hear about the larger social structure that enables that kind of action without consequences. And the moment someone starts to talk about those consequences, they need to get him out of their head. Because to focus on those things, to focus on consequences, means they have to reevaluate every decision that they've made in their life, and it is highly destructive to the manner in which they want to live their life. Here's the other side of that. And here's the real sadness of them making a concerted effort to destroy anybody talking about responsibility and consequences. If you try to live a life without consequences, you are living an inconsequential life. You are nothing. And that is why I call them dumpsters. They are a place for a man to drop his trash and then move on. They are an inconsequential person. But if you live your life understanding that there are consequences, adjusting your life for the consequences that you want, you are living a consequential life. You are a person of consequence, and you are to be valued. Men want women that are valuable. And this is borne out in the data. You guys know, every time I talk about things, I like to say, let's go to the data. And that's part of the reason that I've been uncomfortable with YouTube, because I don't know how to put up the data yet. However, people can look this up. Women with high body counts that lost their virginity very early are very, very unlikely to maintain a relationship. Second set of the data, women initiate 80% of the divorces. A man worth anything at all looks at those two sets of data and says, okay, then when I'm vetting a woman out for not even a marriage, a long-term relationship where I'm going to invest in her, I need to find a woman with a low body count who lost her virginity late in life and who lives a consequential life, that has a belief structure in something. Otherwise, she's not worth the investment. I should only use her as a dumpster. Women want a high-value man, but they don't want the consequences that a high-value man understands and looks at when he's vetting them out. They want to live impulsively, do whatever makes you feel good, which is a child's way to live. When my 3-year-old does something stupid, he's a 3-year-old. He's not capable of intellectually looking ahead of the consequences. But when a 17-year-old does, she is perfectly capable of understanding that there are long-term consequences. Is it hard for her to necessarily conceptualize them because she doesn't have the life experience? Absolutely. But she knows at a level of intellect that there are long-term consequences to her choices, and then can base her life choices on some of those long-term consequences. Am I saying as a teenager, never ever do anything, don't have sex? No, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that she needs to consider who, how often, what kind of sex she is having. And that's not hard. There isn't a downside to practicing intelligent sexual selection. And that's one of the things that women really chafe at when you start talking about sexual selection. Well, I want to do what I want, blah, 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 blah. All these stupid shit. You're like, all right, stop. Let's say you take my tack. You practice sexual selection. You look at a man, you take your time, at least several weeks, if not several months, getting to know him, ensuring that he's a person of integrity and honor, that he brings a value set to the table, that he communicates, and he's emotionally invested in you. Where's the downside to that aside from not having bad sex quickly? Because all of you women will also admit that one-night stands, if you look at the data, it's very rare for one-night stands to result in things like multiple orgasms and such. Most of the orgasmic material that comes from that is just the excitement of someone kind of new, which is why it requires alcohol. Alcohol represses your idea of long-term consequences. So it's like, where's the downside aside from not having like lots of shitty sex with different people? And that doesn't seem like a big plus. So what's the downside to practicing careful sexual selection? Of course, there isn't one. There's not a downside to thinking about your responsibilities and to thinking about your actions have consequences and setting up your belief system such that your choices reflect those beliefs and your consequences. There's not a downside to that. There's not a downside to practicing careful sexual selection and only taking lovers that are good people that are invested in you. There's not a downside to that. So feminist leftists don't want to hear about they have responsibilities to themselves, to others, to the larger social order, and they have to think about what they're doing. And things like, don't just have sex with everybody. It's possible to have self-fucking discipline. It's the shorts too. I saw a shorts thing. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, like you said, I'm gonna look at some of these. Actually, I'm gonna write some of those down. Threw off my train of thought, damn it. There is no downside to having a meaningful life that focuses on responsibilities and consequences. And the reality is that the reason that I had 78% men that enjoyed my content and looked at it and engaged with it, and I value what you're telling me. I want it. I'm trying to think too. Men believe in these consequences because men have to perform. Men are told they have to perform. Men are aware that they have to perform. Men don't get to have this do whatever makes you feel good thing, because if we do whatever would make you feel good, we're, bending chicks over the hoods of cars and raping them in the ass, whatever. We're knocking people's fucking teeth out. We learn because we start much earlier in our lives. We have aggression. 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old boys start to exhibit aggression. When they start to exhibit aggression, they're pulled aside, said, no, your actions have consequences. You punched Billy in the head. You threw blocks at Karen and you bit Susan. You can't do that. You have to think. Now go stand in the corner. Now, this leads to, even if it's bad, a form of emotional management and the beginnings of my actions have consequences. And then Billy comes out of the corner and he's like, here, Karen, here's blocks, let's share. Tommy, I'm sorry, whatever. He starts to learn, oh, when I perform in a certain way that garners approval, I get a better life. Now, when Jill throws a temper tantrum, oh, princess, what's wrong? Oh, I know, hard life. Oh, she's not taught that consequential action. She's only taught that her emotions, her immediate emotional needs must be gratified. And that's where it begins. Kamua. Sorry, now I'm going to write this stuff down. Auto cut. Bringing this back around full circle because I don't want to take so damn long. My channel, which was not terribly polite, but was addressing the things that I see that women are doing wrong. And again, the reason that I focused on women was not because men are doing everything right. Snort, this is where you and I kind of sometimes disagree with each other. Men do a lot of fucked up shit too. They do a lot of stupid things. And I wanted to engage. And when I was on lives, I would engage with a lot of men. They would talk about and ask about these things. It's not that men are not fucking things up. It's that the focus is on the things that men fuck up to the exclusion of the things that women are fucking up. It's not like we talk about men and we talk about women and we talk about them equally. We talk about men, and when you try to talk about women, like, no, you can't do that. They literally have created a defensive measure that says any criticism of women is misogyny, no matter how legitimate, no matter how much data you can post, no matter how many research papers are done on it, no matter how true it is, demonstrably true, you post it about that, you post about the things that women are doing wrong, you are a misogynist, you hate women, you can't get laid, there's all blah, 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 blah. Defense force. This infantilizes and stupefies women. It makes it so they can do stupid shit without anybody calling them on it. It destroys their life. The opposite of a life where you think about the consequences, where you maintain discipline, where you reach for the things that you want, and you delay some gratification to get there, are women who have happy lives and wonderful relationships. Dumb dumpster sluts are not happy people. Again, the data sets show generalized anxiety, depression, a lack of intimacy, a lack of ability to create intimacy. What's the good there? There is none. And yet, to bring those out, misogyny, so forth, gets you canceled. So I was canceled on TikTok because I focused on a group that has a defensive measure. That group got together with their little friends. They reported every single thing that I did. And the moderators of TikTok are kind of leftist liberal types that live in Silicon Valley and don't really moderate according to guidelines. They moderate according to their feelings. Snorkoff on TikTok was killed. Snorkoff on Instagram remains alive. Don't know what that means as of yet. I think I would like to continue to broadcast. I think I would like to continue to address these situations. Thank you, Cool Legit. You've given me at least some of these things. I'm going to try. Maybe I will create a TikTok profile that is completely passive and only sees things. So it won't really get canceled because I won't comment or say anything. The other side of that I feel, and this is something that's big to me, when I see someone's TikTok and it irritates me or I disagree with it, I try to go to their TikTok page and see if there's a lot of that or if I misunderstood, right? Because sometimes you can see somebody makes a TikTok, it's 60 seconds long, it's 48 seconds long. They say something, you're like, fuck you. But then you go back to their TikTok and you find like 15 videos, and in the context of everything else they're saying, you're like, oh, I completely misunderstood you. Yeah, I'll have to look into that stuff. People get into this social media things, and I just got a lot going on. I'm doing this right now, but I've got 17 volunteer operations going on right now, for things like fire mitigation and 2 that are going to schools and doing education stuff. I've got my own businesses. I'm actually in between. I just finished a consulting thing, and I've got another one coming up, but that takes a lot of time when I do that. I just don't know how much time I have to devote specifically to social media, but I like it, so I'm going to keep trying it. Anyway, saying a girl with 10 bodies and a guy with 1 body is the same thing. It should be judged equally. I know. And that is because they want to have an inconsequential life. And they want to deny a biological reality. And I will make it, how about this? I'll make the next video about this biological reality. We'll talk a lot about anthropology, sexual selection, sexual dimorphism, things like that, and why the feminist ideal of this thing, like body counts being the same, should be treated the same, is a false reality. It's not the same. We're not sexually the same. When one parent has to invest completely in the life of a child and the other parent can dump his goo and walk away, we are not the same. One grows a life and then raises that life. The other one walks away. And there was a TikTok fad very recently where girls were like, 2 years ago, I was on a plane. Oh no, women are just as horny as we are. Never, ever, ever believe that. Women are just as sexual. There's a whole bunch of these TikToks where it's like, here, I was on a plane 2 years ago and I fucked this guy, and here's his daughter. And there's a I'll Never Forget You kind of song in the background, and I wanted to do a whole bunch of those. And it's like, yes, that's the consequence. You dumb fucking dumpsters made a non-sexual selective choice to open your legs for a perfect fucking stranger who you had no contact with, and now you have a child. And all the biological, financial, moral, and intellectual responsibilities that come with that. You don't get to act like we are the same. It's not. No, testosterone, look, men and women are sexual. They're just sexual differently. The idea that horny describes a state of desiring sex. Women desire sex just as much as men. Testosterone does a lot of things. One of the things testosterone does is improve memory and mental clarity. It's not all about sex. That's why guys that get low testosterone, and you got to look at, there's a lot of social things I want to talk about. Low testosterone and the generalized anxiety and mental fog and sleepiness that a lot of people feel, that's a big deal, and nobody's studying it. It's huge. Everybody will talk about it, but nobody's studying it. There's a thing called mental priming. When you look at people in a state of anxiety and people that are in a state of depression, their intuition and creativity goes down. And it makes you wonder, are we being kept in this perpetual state of anxiety and depression because it pushes back our creativity and intuitiveness, and otherwise we would see a lot of things we don't see because we are trapped in the cycle? Which sounds more conspiracy theory than I like to get, but it's something to consider. The female desire for sex is equal to the male. It's a different desire. Women, there's a reason that women go out and fuck the biggest shitbag they can find over and over and over again. It's not a lack of horniness. mean, think about it. If women were not as horny as men, we wouldn't be having this conversation about women constantly choosing the biggest shitbag they can find and wanting to have an inconsequential life where they can fuck everybody they want. They wouldn't be doing that if they weren't horny. Women are just as horny as men. They are horny differently than men. It's just like men and women are equally emotional. People are always like women are more emotional than men. No, they're not. Men are just as emotional as women. They are differently emotional, and they apply their emotions differently to situations. Men are also not more logical than women. They just are socialized much early on to recognize consequences and to think through those consequences in an intuitive, heuristic level, right? See, I don't necessarily like the red pill thing. It's a very bitter concept. You talk to a lot of those red pill guys, they get very, very bitter very quickly, very angry, very negative and hateful. And they apply, this is the thing I don't like. Women are socialized to make unwise, stupid choices. They are not evil and malicious. The problem with red pill thinking is it applies maliciousness and intent to something that can be explained by rote stupidity and a refusal to embrace consequences. See what I mean? Like, oh, she's doing this. She's going to take your kids away because she wants to control you. No, she's just stupid. She's been socialized to think that her emotional needs must be met right now. Do whatever you want right now. We were just talking about this, right? Do whatever you want right now. Instead of, if I leave this, if I divorce this marriage, I'm creating a structure in myself of leaving a relationship instead of building it. And that structure of leaving instead of building is why the next marriage is not more likely to succeed. In fact, it's more likely to fail. 50% of first marriages fail, 75% of second marriages fail. That's because the people that are getting into second marriages have not built the skill set of creating a better relationship once it gets hard. But if you're a person, a woman, who is socialized consistently to say your emotional needs must be met right now, do whatever you want, do what makes you feel good, then when you're in a relationship that doesn't feel good and you don't feel loving, and you get this fantastical idea that something is better out there, rationally it makes sense to leave. But rationally is what makes people lose. Losers are always very, very rational. If Jeff Bezos was a rational person when he made Amazon booksellers, which is what Amazon was before it was anything else, and Amazon book sales failed the first time, the second time, the third time when he had to go get money from his fucking parents and he was living in a storefront. He didn't have an apartment. He lived in a store. Any rational person would have been like, 3 times, man. This thing ain't going to fucking work. Now he's the richest man in the world. Rational people make the rational choice to quit and lose. You can't always be rational. Sometimes you got to be like, the only way I win is by believing that winning is possible. And it's going to hurt. But the best things in life are on the other side of pain. All right, so this was as long as I wanted to get with this, and I want to thank everybody for coming. I am going to look up a couple of those, the Kamua thing, an auto cut, and I'll see where that goes. Yeah, winners are crazy. And see what I can do with that. I think I'm going to broadcast again probably tomorrow, if anybody's interested, and talk about some of this anthropology stuff. And in the meantime, thank you guys that joined me. I really appreciate it. And maybe this will go somewhere. Anyway, thanks and goodbye.